Pinless legs, people.
Whew, I'm looking at this list and fighting the urge to say it's going to be a long one, boys. But the truth is, I never know. I may ramble. I may cut things short. I am going to try to rapid fire some stuff just to keep it manageable. But who knows? Last week, I was like, oh, it's going to be short. I don't have a lot to talk about. 30 minutes. Because by the time it was all said and done, blah, 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 and I'm already dragging this out. So, without further ado, I'm Robo. This here's the Rewind. First up, here is the Storm Collectibles Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 Akuma tease. They always do this right before they drop a new pre-order, and it's no surprise here. We knew Akuma was coming. They've shown it at some cons, and it only makes sense after who they've already revealed. So, I mean, this is all I got right here. One picture. That's coming soon. Someone who posted far more than one image is Mondo, who has announced that their real Ghostbusters Janine with, what are they calling it? With desk. I should have remembered that. But this will be going up for pre-order next week. This is the timed edition, and I'll be honest, I haven't dug into it. There was a lot of traveling going on. There's a lot of pictures. There are a lot of other things that caught my attention this week. But man, as someone who was only going to get the 4 main Ghostbusters out of this line, dang it. And it's not just because Janine is beautifully sculpted, because that's apparent. That's obvious looking at this. But it's also the accessories. I know it's a desk and some ghosts, but there's also options for Janine herself, sitting, standing. I mean, they went as far as to have a swappable seat on the bottom of her chair that conforms to her actually sitting in it. I guess to make it look more natural or more stable when you have her in it. I guess that's better than sculpting a flat bottom. Girls, you make the rock and world go round. That's not how that lyric goes. I know, but it shot into my head. I apologize. But that seems like a better option. Well, it's a cooler option, because if she was flat, you could seat her on the desk or on other things as is. It's curved. I'm sure it'd be fine sitting somewhere else. Am I thinking about this way too much? Because as is, Janine, desk, chair, ghosts, HR Nightmare Slimer, it's a good presentation. And it is a fine addition to the line overall so far. Now, there is the price. It is Mondo. It is real Ghostbusters. But within that sphere, within that scenario, given the prices of the Ghostbusters and their timed editions with the full-on big articulated ghosts, $140 for this with the desk and everything else seems like a deal. Again, within the confines of the Mondo Real Ghostbusters. At this point, if you're collecting the line, you know what to expect. You've already made peace with your bank account. So what's another one? Just throwing it out there. We only live once, and you can't take it with you. So might as well leave a pile of plastic playthings for your descendants who will go, why did you do this to me? Why? Now I have to deal with this, and I don't care. Oh, that got dark. Maybe talking about ghosts. Little itty bitty tidbit for the Fext Hobby Acid Rain World Novark series. They're getting mechanical legs. Doesn't seem to be the most comfortable mode of transportation, but it sure does look cool. And I'm sure I would try it a couple times. Just seated, like you're sitting in a chair backwards, but your legs are locked in. But then you have big mechanical legs to... Look, I'm an ATST. I haven't dove into this line yet, but I have some on the way. In fact, they are in a box, traveling around the United States, just wandering. like Kane from Kung Fu before showing up at my doorstep. I don't know what they're doing. It's came in the middle coast and just kind of, I'm gonna go see Louisiana. Let's go to Atlanta, Tennessee, coming around. It's avoiding me or spiraling down into my location. Soon. As the time comes closer, the Four Horsemen keep posting updates for their Mythic Legions role-playing game. First up, a character pack, where you can take the rogue that they've already announced and make it into a Jaguar. I don't even know how to say Jaguar, right? Is it Jaguar or Jaguar? It's a cat person. Just take the figure and then you get the head and things hang off and you make it into this. But they also announced the heroic wizard to go along with it. So it's a role-playing game, but your pieces are like 1/12 scale action figures. I dig it. But then we get into some drama, some craziness, how things change over the course of a week whenever a toy company makes an announcement. I think I was still on the road when the Four Horsemen announced their 2026 convention exclusive Legendary Warrior. Seems to match up nicely with last year's Traveling Con exclusive, the male version of this. But before I could even settle in at home and save the pictures, the IP owners of Red Sonja came along and caused some kerfuffle. I missed a lot. I was at Toy Fair and there was still toy news happening out in the big bad world. Now, I will say that there is a strong resemblance, especially something about the makeup to the movie that I've never watched, and the hair. I get both sides of the argument. It's just a generic barbarian woman. Hey, but at the same time, there were some poses and the thing. It's more of a tribute, but can you get away with it? And I guess if somebody owns the likeness, they can come along and say, hey, we have that. Where's our money? So to avoid all that, the Four Horsemen pulled the two offending heads. Now, most toy companies would have went, we're taking away a couple things. It's still $50. See you at the con, but not the Four Horsemen. They said, lesser stuff, lesser price. Knocked it from 50 to 40 and alluded to or flat out said the two heads will be made available in some form or fashion down the road. So at the end of the day, you take the good, you take the bad, you take it all in what you have, the facts of life. You're still going to get the figure. You're eventually going to have the accessories. You just got to wait a little bit longer. I know it can be frustrating, but we still get our toys. Like I said, I was at Toy Fair last weekend, in the thick of it. Just, oh, you got new stuff? You got new stuff? Oh, come on, hit me with it. But even roaming the show floor, you got to keep an eye on the internet because Mezco was doing online reveals. Yeah, they no longer come to Toy Fair. They don't do the setup. I think that some companies are realizing we don't need to go to this to have a physical presence. The internet's there. We can just do a live stream. Y'all can stay in your pajamas. Well, okay, they don't do a live stream. They just did pictures. Starting with the Rumble Society, Gangsters Inc., Giovanni Don Massini. Yeah, the Rumble Society grows and grows and grows. I haven't liked everything about their 1/12 Collective Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but Splinter looks pretty good. It seems to match the aesthetic. Same goes for the 1/12 Collective DC Batman the Animated Series Robin. Because there's Batman, and then there's Joker and Two-Face. For sure. There may be somebody else. Anyway, slowly but surely, a nice little display. Marvel Punisher. It's been a while since we've gotten a Punisher from them, huh? They were hot and heavy for a bit. All kinds of weapons, all kinds of designs. I feel like, well, just looking at the one image, that it's going to be more classic comic-based, but that's fine. Frank Castle in any form is cool. But then there's this. Thundercats in 1/12 Collective. That's going to be interesting. I've been hot and cold with the Super 7 Ultimates line. For the most part, it's cool, but I feel like Lino was never as good as he could be. I really liked a lot of the villains, a lot of the secondary characters, but Lino, you got to nail the main character. I'm interested in seeing what's happening here. Then we get into Toy Fair and the things I saw, the wondrous things I saw. Some stuff I stopped and just gawked at, just talked to the people about. Some things I just ran through the booth, like Blokees. I want to say I saw this before the show, but something caught my eye with the Action Edition, what are they calling it? G1 Megatron Energy Explosion version. This is just the Action Edition Megatron in translucent purple. Same figure, same chair, same laser beak, same everything, except the shockwave they had in his hand at the show. Having no experience or doing no research beforehand, when I saw this, I thought, well, that's a selling point. If that's included with this figure, I may have to grab it, because otherwise I don't really need it. Getting home, I found out that it's not actually included, and I can't seem to find any information on this size of shockwave in a gun form. Oh, I don't know where that came from. I'm guessing it's the smaller version Blokees, but I can't confirm that. If you don't care about shockwave and just want translucent Megatron, that link is in the description. Also spend a lot of time at Trick or Treat Studios just pouring over their James O'Barr the Crow Eric. I do not have a figure based on the comic book, and while the articulation is more basic than what we're used to talking about around here, it kind of fits the aesthetic. It kind of fits the style that they're going for. Plus the sculpt is too good. It looks just like the artwork. Then there's options like swapping the arms to make it jacketless. There's head options. Yeah, I definitely pre-ordered this. McFarlane Toys wasn't as full of, well, okay, I'm going to say it, DC stuff. Wasn't as full of DC stuff as they usually are, but there were a lot of things to stare at. The DC that did catch my eye is the latest wave of Super Friends. I have not reviewed these yet. I've got everything that's been released. I think I'm kind of waiting until the end. The point where McFarlane can release no more DC and see how far they get with this line, because I need all the Super Friends. I need all of the Legion of Doom. And then I even want the whole bad guy team of Super Friends. I have my doubts about larger, unique sculpts like Grundy and Grodd, so I guess we'll see what happens in the next, well, I was about to say few months, but from what I understand, they've been extended to October. That way, they can manufacture up to that point and then ship it out and have it selling until 2027 when the license changes over. But hey, like I said, they're still building Black Manta, Bizarro, Robin for sure, because if they give him a mustache and darken the colors to add to that team, come on. We've gotten evil Superman, evil Batman, evil Aquaman, the evil that comes from eye patches and facial hair. There's Robin right there. Just give it to me. And then there's Judge Luthor, which is reuse. It's just a thing that's got to happen. I don't know why Batman's standing there. I don't think I clarified if he's in the wave or if there's some kind of change to it, but we'll see. I'm going to stick to the order I saw things in the booth, and as I went around, I ran into Helldivers II. And I'm in for this line. It's a nice start with the armors they've given us. At first I thought, well, there's not a lot of difference between them. Then I realized the colors. Well, why wouldn't they start with bright yellow, bright blue, orange, and then a traditional looking Helldiver? A lot of info swirling and twirling in my head, so I may not get everything out or correct. And if I don't, we'll swing back around. But the traditional Helldiver is elite, so it's higher priced, but it comes with a lot of weapons, a lot of things that you use in the game. And I do like how they went all out in giving us a variety. Now, I will say it's kind of older loadouts, which is fine. If they continue this line, I hope they build the stratagems and the different weapons and the armors and the capes and the helmets, maybe helmet packs, just to get a variety of those out there. Because of all the variations that a player can run, they're never gonna nail everything unless they make everything and you do your own swapping. Because right now, since we're in bot land, I'm running the Trident, the Talon, the Arc Grenade, then Democracy Protects Armor, medium, because keep from bleeding out. I do have one of the newer helmets that looks like Thor with the wings on the side. I can't remember what that's called. Then my stratagems are usually 500k, machine gun turret, warp pack for bots, quick getaway, and then the Quasar. When I go to bugs, I pick a light armor to be a bit faster on my feet and switch to the Blitzer because the arc it shoots out kind of stuns from coming up on you. I only play 3 games religiously for the past few years. GTA 5, Red Dead 2, Helldivers 2. And to see figures made of this, because I guess we're never getting Red Dead figures from any major company, so I will definitely be all over these. Image Comics Founder Series. We knew these were coming too. They had been revealed at a con, at least digitally, some renders, but to see them in person, okay. I'm in. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a lot about Shadowhawk. I remember the character. I was in comic shops at the time, and this looks good, but my heart belongs to Savage Dragon. I went through the booth on the first day, and they only had the head with the mustache on it, and I took pictures, and they said, hey, there's gonna be an alternate head. I didn't even think about that when I posted pictures to my Instagram, and everybody was like, what's with the mustache? That sucks. They heard the feedback too and swapped the heads or brought it out. I don't think that the accessories were even laying around at that initial walkthrough. So, yes, there is a version without the mustache, and then the sunglasses swaps between the two. There is single elbows, but it's a big chunky arm. I got to mess with it. It does bend, but it doesn't come all the way up. And then a lot of people commented on the head size. Have you ever seen Savage Dragon? The big surprise though was Hellboy. These look really, really good. Now it has all the McFarlane beats, the exposed pins, the style a bit, but it does resemble the comic. I screwed this up on Instagram too. I said that the version with the horns and the crown was an elite edition. No, that means it would go up a price point. These are both priced the same. They're just 2 different versions. This is a test the water situation. They're gonna put them out, see how it goes, and if sales are there, they will make more. If not, this is all you get. We've seen this from McFarlane Toys in the past, like Harry Potter, was it? There's been a few lines where they just throw out that initial offering and then we never see anything again. It's like they have a clause that says, if we don't make X amount of money, you get this license back. From there, we ventured over to NECA, and oh man, it may not be my favorite properties ever, my wish list of action figures I wish I could get, but man, did some of these hit my heartstrings. Well, okay, when it comes to Turtles, I'm turtled out. Or more, I have what I've wanted. I have what I need. And at this point, it's just extra frosting. I'm good with my cake and the amount of frosting. Hell, I've got a corner piece with the big sugar rose on it. I'm pretty happy. But if other people like more frosting, NECA has you covered. Doesn't mean I don't like looking. How many negatives were in that sentence? Did I mess it up? Either way, I like to window shop. I like to see pictures. And I think the Turtles in Disguise look fantastic. A lot of Donatello with facial hair at this toy fair. I'm not going to show the Playmates versions with the G.I.Joe because they're a smaller scale, but I may be in for those. At least a couple of them. Here, again, they're cool, but not for me. Archie Comics Leatherhead, they did say that the head is swappable with the wrestling version if you want a different look. The Fortnite Turtles are kind of exactly what I expected when I heard the name Fortnite Turtles. I don't have a lot of experience with Fortnite other than other companies' action figures. And when it comes to that style, that feel, I think these fit right in. Well, when I say fit in, I don't mean scale. When it comes to these will be 7-inch. I mean that overall vibe, where it looks like all the turtles are using the same body, just have different stuff hanging off of them, different bandanas. I've said a few times that I've really grown to like the 2012 TMNT cartoon. They showed all the time on Pluto TV. I passed through, oh, that's pretty cool. So seeing Slash in plastic form, oh yeah. And this has never been my favorite version of Casey, but they nailed it. I don't guess I've ever paid attention to Metalhead's actual size in the cartoon. I've seen quite a few episodes at this point, but not all of them. And when I saw this in the case, I thought, is he that small? Sometimes he's big, sometimes he's small. It's neat. And then every Turtles display needs a splinter. Moving down to puppets, which is not one of my favorite things, but again, I like seeing them in action figure form and how much detail NECA stuffs into their versions, like the Sesame Street Grover, or I should say Super Grover. This is a Target Haulathon release here in a month or two, so it may be hard to get, then it may be easier to get, and hard, back and forth. I don't know. I don't do a lot of the haulathon things. In the display case, you just scoot to the side and you see their new Muppet series. And again, as someone who's not a huge fan of any of the puppet shows, these do look great. I don't know the ins and outs when it comes to the Muppet show. Apparently, this is an early version of Miss Piggy. You can see the difference. If you're more of a fan of later seasons, later episodes, then you may see the difference. Me, I'm just like, oh, it's Miss Piggy. Cool. I do know Gonzo. Well, I know the characters. Hell, okay, I will say this. I probably watched more Muppet Babies than actual Muppet Show. And I've never seen any of the movies now that I can. Hey, Muppet Babies was one of the first shows to come on Saturday mornings. So you got up, got your TV tray, pour your cereal, or slam the Pop-Tarts down in the toaster, or put the toaster strudels in there and then fought with the packet, and then you drew your little design. You got ready, you got in front of the TV, and then you sat through Muppet Babies to get to the cartoons that you actually wanted to watch. And after a while, you thought, oh, okay, I kind of like Muppet Babies. The Menomenas round out the first wave, I think, but there's also some teases in the background, which I'm unaware of. I just kind of took pictures of things in the background because they were talking about the teases, the hints. And I thought, keep your secrets. I am much more into DuckTales. And this came later in life. I think I was on the go by that point. High school, after high school. But, oh man, once you start thinking about DuckTales, you start singing about DuckTales. Woo! If the line goes no further than these 3 sets, then I would be pretty happy with this display. But from what I understand, it made a point to say Disney Afternoons. And it's NECA. You know, these are going to sell. They're going to make more. And then that's going to expand out to some of the other cartoons that people are asking for. I am positive. Then the big surprise was McDonald's. Now, I know Veebs has been asking for this forever. And I've always been kind of, you know what I would like? Action figures of 80s McDonald's Land characters. Here we go. Did Grimace need this much articulation? I saw some comments of, why didn't they just leave the neck solid with the body? Because I don't ever remember him moving like that in the commercials. It's always... But you know what? I'm not going to gripe about extra movement because I'm sure it'll be useful. We don't actually look down or up or to the side. Hey, more movement's not bad. It could be way worse. It could be flocked. From what I understand and remember, Hamburglar's next. Then there's a character that's not shown, and then Ronald. So, you know how these toy companies work. They give you tastes. They give you secondary characters. They leave you wanting more. And Ronald down the line means, oh, I gotta get these. If they don't sell, they're not gonna get that far, and they're not gonna make them. But it's a double-edged sword because some people look at it as, oh, if we don't get those down the line, why do I even need to buy these? They're never gonna complete the set. They're gonna complete the set. It may be a slow road, but they're gonna complete the set. Here's a brief intermission because as I'm scrolling through the pictures, I remembered going from NECA and just kind of lounging in the Lego section where they always make it kind of tranquil, kind of relaxing with all the Lego flowers. So if you need to get up and go to the bathroom, depending on how long this video is so far, get up, make a sandwich, get a drink, go outside, get some sunlight, walk through the grass, or just look at the pretty All right, back to toys. I've talked to the Bull Airs guys at I think it was PowerCon, talking about shoes. Well, they're starting their own toy company called Sneak Attack, and they're starting with Chuck E. Cheese and Denver the Last Dinosaur. Now, I remember Chuck E. Cheese, or, well, Showbiz Pizza, some variations thereof. For some reason, I do not remember Denver the Last Dinosaur whatsoever. Apparently, this was late 80s, and that would be my time of, I'm an adult now. That was also during the Batman craze, and that seemed way more adult than, you know, cartoons. Batman 89 is for distinguished moviegoers. But it's cool that it's being made in action figure form, and it's about this doll. It's crazy. Chuck E. Cheese is going to have some options, some swappable heads. They talked about swappable frocks down in the thing. They also talked about future characters and where it's going to go. It could stay here. It could go into the past. They seemed very excited, which made me excited. And that's always a good thing when it comes to toys. I do believe this is coming to Kickstarter soon, simply for options. We'll see when that kicks off, I guess. I got to sneak into the Playmates booth with Yimbo. He said he was heading that direction. I was like, I don't have an appointment with them. And he said, I'll try to get you in. So I went in and I looked at things. And I'm not going to talk about the Godzilla versus Power Rangers figures themselves, even though they do look cool. Especially that Pink Ranger Mothra mix-up. It's the colors, it's the stuff. Yeah, but not my thing. No, I am super interested in the Godzilla with the... Oh man, here comes my unknowledge of Power Rangers. Megazord armor of some kind? Because I'm not interested in that part of this mashup. But this Godzilla standing like this and the tail out to here, it's fairly large. I feel I can take that, rip the armor off, and put it into my display because it appeals to me. The colors, the sculpt, it's not super articulated, but the price is going to be nice. And I say, well, okay, it may be nice. We were told that this was still in development, which kind of feels still up in the air. But at the same time, why show it if they have no intent of releasing it? So I'm fairly confident that this will see release, but there may be some tweaks by the time it hits shelves. Especially since the armor on the prototype they were showing did not match up with the artwork on the poster. I don't care, give me the Godzilla. But then we turned and saw Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is apparently a thing. But the more they talked about it, the more excited I got about it, because the presentation here with the diorama and the background things, the sculpts of the figures themselves, and the articulation scheme we're seeing on Carl. It doesn't feel as refined as other companies' offerings who have been doing the super articulation thing for years, but it feels like a jump from what we've seen from Playmates in the past. Of course, Yimbo and I focused right in on the torso, where it looked like it was just a cut at the waist, but we both pushed for a ball joint. If they don't want to break up the jacket or the torsos on the other two characters wearing suits and robes, then at least go for a ball joint. Try to get some hula hoop action going on. Oh, you like that, don't you? Don't lie. It's another one of those cases of, I may not know the property, but I dig the figures. Especially if they come in at the usual Playmates price point, which may be a little higher because of the articulation and the paint apps. There's a lot of dry brushing and detail going on. If nothing else, it looks like some good custom fodder. The demon guy in a suit. You have a suit, you have demon things. What caught me off guard the most, though, was looking around their display and realizing that this is a lot more saucy, a lot more spicy than we're used to with Playmates. It seems like kind of a departure. But honestly, when it comes to Playmates, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the cartoons, kind of kid figures. So, I don't know. All those factors combined, yeah, I may end up buying these. I didn't have an appointment with Mattel until Monday morning, when they wanted us there at 8 a.m. for a breakfast that I could have shown up at 9 a.m. because I don't eat breakfast and I don't like getting out of bed that early. But I went anyway because there's toys to be seen, like the new DC line. Now, we saw a teaser. We had a taste of this from an overseas toy fair a couple of weeks back. Seeing them in person, I shouldn't like these, right? These are 1/12 scale. And they have some double knees, but no ankles, which kind of kills the movement below the waist. They're single elbows and no torso. But, man, the accessories are cool and the head sculpts are great. Again, that kind of works into the whole custom fodder thing. But at the same time, and I think they announced this beforehand, but I'm going to reiterate, they're running this series kind of like the wrestling figures, where there's a basic and then there's a collector's edition or elite, more articulation, same size. While Phoebes and I were hanging around in the food court, a Mattel commercial kept coming on for both He-Man and DC. And the most interesting part of the commercial for DC was the future collector's line, unified scale, uniform scale, something like that. What it means is the future collector's line with the added articulation, accessories, all that is going to be the same scale, 1/12, or the slightly larger than 6-inch, because I won't say who, but somebody came along and threw a Marvel Legends figure down within it. I didn't grab a picture of it, but even with the basic figures, it looked fantastic. So they're going to match up. These were in the same section as Masters of the Universe, and I don't think there was anything new shown. We've looked over the promo pictures or the initial reveals for all these, but there was one thing that stood out at me. Battle Cat. Oh man, it looks good as both Battle Cat or a generic large tiger, lion, feline type to repaint and stick anywhere. I still think the articulation matches up to Masterverse a lot, except maybe in the neck, it seems more mobile there, but the detail is so much more refined, so much more realistic. But more than anything, it's got the glass eye technology they used for Merman, and we also saw from the Super Mario line, where it kind of follows you around. Yeah, it's kind of creepy, but kind of cool at the same time. Of course, me being the excellent photographer I am, it doesn't really come across here. So if you want a closer look at that, Pixel Dan did a review at the show. They gave him booth space in the back behind curtains, and he got to go through Battle Cat and He-Man. So that's a much better look. I'll try to remember to put the link up here. Hasbro, they had their own Nerd Herd walkthrough after hours. So when you first walked in the door, there was Marvel Legends, which didn't show a lot, but man, the two they showed are pretty cool. Well, I'm not familiar with Aaron Davis Iron Spider. I kind of get the gist of it, but more than anything, man, shiny black and gold with the Waldos. Stop it. But then there's Professor Hulk. Now, I always go on about, oh, this Hulk's too modern. I want a classic, old school, raging Hulk with a face from the comics at the time or the 80s cartoon, something like that. Maximum, bleh, too modern. But I do have a soft spot for the Professor Hulk era. That's when I was still buying a lot of comics. And the Pantheon, Ajax, all the other characters from Living in the Mountain, was that the Professor Hulk era? Either way, man, it's Hulk in a black shirt, pink bunny slippers. That's awesome. The glasses aren't the greatest. They kind of stick off awkwardly. They're removable, but without them, nails the artwork. And I've heard people say that it also works for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but I don't know about all that. I just know comics, and even then, that stops at a certain point. But this Professor Hulk was before that certain point. So, yeah, I'm definitely in for that. Flipping over here for G.I.Joe Classified series, because a lot of these have already been solicited. So there's a lot of information to put up at the bottom, a lot of information to go through that I'll probably miss, because once I started looking, I thought, dang, compared to Legends, you showed a ton of figures. Well, okay, we talked about Dawn Morena Snake Eyes last weekend. It's Snake Eyes. And it doesn't take the place of, well, I think she took the place of Snake Eyes for a very short time, but then Snake Eyes came back and, hey, you can have two Snake Eyes. Is this right? Airtight was also shown in render form, looks even better in plastic. Hydro Viper still hits me somewhere back here. Like, I remember Maybe I had it, or maybe I saw it at the store a lot, and I always thought, that's a cool looking G.I. Joe with the monster helmet and the claws on the flippers. And yeah, this goes even further with those creepy eyes in the face. Oh man, that tempting. You're tempting me. I'm not gonna lie, I did pre-order Overkill. I didn't hit everything they showed this weekend that they've already put up, but for some reason, Overkill made the list. I don't know, maybe it's the crazy golds and greens, or maybe I can use it for a custom for somebody else. Robot parts. Hell, I didn't even know there was a removable face mask until today, a week later, after I pre-ordered it. Yeah, sometimes you just, okay, click, I'll find out more later. Sundown, though, we had only seen in silhouette form, so this debuted at Toy Fair, and it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was a whole hell of a lot of what I was expecting. This is a bounty hunter who's tracking down Headman, so he joins the Joes. Why not? And I made it very clear with Lenny that this isn't just, I'm gonna do my own thing, I'm gonna work on the outskirts of the team and just, I'm using them. No, he's out for justice. He is very much part of the Joe team, and it is a cowboy. One thing I forgot to ask both times I saw Lenny was if this had any connection to cops, because there's already been a cops element in G.I. Joe Forever, or maybe a G.I. Joe element in Cops Forever. But given the name and the style, it seems a little too close. I mean, there has to be some kind of connection, or maybe I'll just make up a connection. Because they're my toys, I can do what I want. We did know about Ninja Force Zartan. Oh man, I love this way more than I thought I was going to. I'm a big fan of the classic Zartan. The hood, the colors, the voice in the cartoon. But man, there's something about a orange mohawk and the colors used here. It's completely different, but definitely still Zartan. I did not know it was going to be a Target exclusive though. Thankfully, I grabbed one, but man, from what I hear, it sold out quick on Pulse. I'm also a big fan of Night Creeper, the classic version, the purples and the silvers. Oh man, I had that vintage figure. It was always one of my favorites. I like it, well, okay, I can't say I like it even more in this silver gray color, but man, you add on those translucent green magic parts, it does spruce it up. But then you still have the option for the good old Night Creeper head. I will have to make some decisions when it comes to Walmart Collector Con, which sometimes worse than Target, sometimes better, a lot of times worse. I think Cobra Law Royal Guard had already been making the rounds before Toy Fair. I just missed it because I do not give a shit about Cobra Law. I do give a shit about cool looking toys, and this does appeal on some level, but I'm not really gonna go out of my way to grab this. If I get it, well, okay, it's up for pre-order now, isn't it? And I haven't even checked the status. Is it sold out in places? I noticed a lot of the other Joes are, but I don't know about this. I didn't even click the pre-order links. I'm in for Zanya and the Chameleon though. We already knew that. Sure, what first drew me in was the Swamp Skier, but the more I look at Zanya, the more I'm like, okay, adding another female to that display, bring it on. Red Dog and Taurus 2-pack. We'd seen several times, I think. That's up for pre-order. I don't believe we'd seen Professor Rotclaw and Cobra Dionysus. Dionysus. It's that dinosaur. I'm hearing a lot of backlash about putting a dinosaur in with G.I. Joe or Cobra, and I'm thinking, isn't one of the higher up bad guys just a combination of all the villains throughout history? And there's a weather changing device and teleport device and craziness and furries and this and that. This is tame compared to some of the stuff we've already seen in G.I. Joe. I do like that they added a troop builder element to the Professor if you want multiples of these. If you like the dinosaurs, which hey, who wouldn't? They're fun. So if you get a couple of these packs, you can have the Professor and then you could have a faceless minion trying to control the other dinosaur. Then there's the Legacy Collection Special Forces Soldier, which is just a neat camo guy with face options. The skull face, Punisher, that's automatically where I go whenever I see skull paint. I'm sure other people go other places, but for me, sure, Frank Castle in G.I.Joe. Something that I didn't see in the solicits or the information they sent out after is Snake Eyes on the Varmint, and then the Stealth Viper with the Stealth Flight Pod. These were over to the side of the display, and what caught my eye was the Trouble Bubble in black and red. And I didn't get what was the ketchup and mustard version at Target after the initial Trouble Bubble. This, man, it goes right with the hiss, doesn't it? It pairs up beautifully. And then I don't have any version of the four-wheeler, so I may get that because I have the hiss, but I don't have a lot of Joe vehicles. So it'd be nice to put them on wheels a little bit. Plus, dang it, it's a good looking Snake Eyes. I know there's a lot of great looking Snake Eyes is out there, but the grays, the greens. Star Wars, I didn't dwell on within the booth a lot. There seemed to be a lot of people there the whole time, and they had really shown everything before the show. Had they released pictures? Did they do a live stream? Again, I was on planes and trains and automobiles. Colonel Ward, Sigourney Weaver in the Star Wars universe, getting an action figure. Not the greatest likeness. I mean, if you look, yeah, that's Sigourney Weaver, but what is she pissed off about? I mean, in the trailer, she does seem a bit perturbed, but okay, it's good. It's a new X-Wing pilot body. Yeah. The Remnant AT-RT driver. Are we going to get an AT-RT? It seems like when it comes to Star Wars vehicles, as far as size goes, that seems in the wheelhouse. I mean, it doesn't seem like too much of a stretch to go with this figure. Of course, if we did get one, this wouldn't be able to sit in it because of the hang down parts, but that is very snowtrooperish, Gus-ish, isn't it? I just like troopers. Speaking of, a Remnant AT-AT driver, and I do believe this is a new sculpt. At least the helmet seems smaller. It seems more streamlined, and I'm gonna get it because I have a pecking order when it comes to the various Star Wars troopers from the original trilogy, or based on the designs from the original trilogy, and the AT-AT driver is up there. And then to round out the main wave, the retail store wave, is a Remnant Stormtrooper. I have lost track of the various Stormtrooper sculpts. I just know I like this, especially the pauldron option. And then you can strap on the pouches if you want. There's options here. So maybe a couple of these. But I am hoping for one of the Target exclusive Remnant Stormtroopers because I know it's a new hat, but dang it, I like a pieced together armor set. And that's definitely a brown Shore Trooper shin guard. And I think the bicep armor, it's got some extra detail on the outside. Otherwise, it's a Stormtrooper, but it's an individual, it seems like. Surely there's not a platoon of brown shinned, brown bicepped Stormtroopers. This has to be one specific trooper, and he'll stand out in the crowd because of two pieces of armor. Then getting back to general releases, there is a deluxe Mandalorian and Grogu. And as far as I can tell, is this the same figure we've already gotten? That is pretty much the peak Mandalorian. Some of the colors may be a little different. I'm not even sure what the differences from the Mando show to the Mando movie are, but you know there's some tweaks because they have to sell new figures, new merchandise. He also comes with a sword.
He killed me with a sword. How weird is that?
But the biggest difference is Grogu that can hang off the jetpack, kind of looking over Din's shoulder. Just, hey, which is cool. It adds to the presentation of the Mandalorian himself, and you can kind of put them together. It's not Grogu getting lost in the display. He's right there. But that's the only option you have for this Grogu. Now, granted, we've gotten Grogus in the past that can just stand there, kind of move the arms, move the head. So it's not like we need another Grogu that just stands there. No, did I just talk myself? No, stop it, brain. Don't even. Maybe I do. because of that sword. But there are options out there. Surprisingly, Bandai is doing another Star Wars 1/12 scale model kit for Mandalorian and Grogu. Every time I think they're out of the game, they come along and here's a little taste. Here's one figure from some new media. This doesn't seem too out of left field though, because I think this reuses a lot of the previous Mandalorian kit with just a few extra pieces. The blurb says the Mandalorian is recreated with new sculpting, including the Beskar armor, left thigh, left hand guard, and main gun belt to match the new movie. So apparently there's not a lot of changes, but just enough to bring out some new stuff. They only posted 2 pictures, Mando standing there with Grogu, and then Grogu options. We'll get to that. But the accessories listed in this blurb says dedicated blaster times 2 types, spear, dark saber. I said it, I didn't want to. It says dark savior, but I'm guessing they mean dark saber. Gradius, which I am kind of thinking is Gladius. I'm thinking that's the sword, the short sword we saw with the Black Series version. Here they give you all the Grogu options, I think. Hold on. There's a body for Grogu to hang off the jetpack. There's one standing with the armor piece on, and then there's one standing without the armor piece on. Then they also make sure to point out the 2 face options. One's wide-eyed, one has the eyes slightly closed. Here's where it gets funky though, because we know what Bandai likes to do. It likes to give us almost extra characters within a pack. I want to say that you can have at least 2 Grogus out of this pack. 2 of the bodies, the 2 different heads. But what if, I'm not saying this is what's happening, but what if the ears aren't included for both heads? That you swap out the actual headpiece. You put it on the body you want to use, put the ears on, and go. Because it's a model kit. They seem to be the same sculpt. There is a seam line. I mean, they should give us 2 full heads, ears and all. But you've hurt me in the past, Bandai. I know this is a different division of Bandai, but man, that SH Figuarts Emperor, where they were 1 hood away from giving us 2 Emperors in the same pack, that's just dirty pool. And that is all I have for this week. Oh man, I don't know how long that's gonna go. I did flub a couple parts, so I gotta do some cuts, but ooh, it's looking a bit long. But that's okay, it's toys. We're having fun. We're just enjoying ourselves. As always, special thanks to the Nobots and the Nobodies, the Patreon and the channel memberships. They got, no. I got back to the hotel a few times, jumped into the chat. That's always a fun time. I updated with pictures that I may not have shown here. Anyway, that's what we do. Because of videos, I got a couple things pushed back. The Thundercracker review I was talking about last week, where some people was like, why even buy a Transformer if you don't transform it? But then there were some people who were like, you know what? I don't like to transform Transformers either. I just want them for the characters. We should form a support group. The I don't care about alt mode group. So I'm gonna try to get that up in the next few weeks. It may be a little later because I've got some time sensitive stuff. I've got some review samples coming in. Like I said, the Acid Rain World stuff should be here if it ever gets to my doorstep. What are you doing? I've talked myself hoarse. me. Got some customs, got a play day. We have some Kickstarters coming up. I know I missed some stuff this episode. There was so much that I saw, but I know there's a lot of stuff that I didn't see that it was online. But yeah, good trip. Productive. Got some things on the horizon coming. Not anything big changes for the channel, but may venture out a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. It's a new year. It's a new me. It's a new you. It's a new us. We're just here trying to have fun. Okay, I'm gonna mosey out. I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life or do your hobby, because I'm not that kind of guy. I know you'll just do you. As long as you're doing you, everything else will fall in place.